Welcome to A Gallen of Questions. My name is Pat Gallen, and joining us here today is an author whose book was seen in the hands of A.J. Brown and then thousands, maybe millions of people worldwide after that. And the book is back in stores, and that is why he is here today. Jim Murphy, Inner Excellence, here in studio. So excited to have you here, Jim. Thanks for making it out. I know you're in Philly, so I figured, hey, it's a great time. Let's link up. Thanks for coming. Sure. Before we get into the book and the A.J. Brown stuff, you went to a Phillies game last night. What was that experience like?
Oh man, I'm just so happy and excited to get into the whole Philadelphia sports scene, everything. And that was actually my first time at that park.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awesome.
It gets a little crazy in there. I mean, because it's a Saturday night in May, and I think there was like 42 or 43,000 people there last night.
I was looking at it, I was like, man, this place is packed. And I'm coming back to throw our first pitch out. And
Are you?
Yeah, I was like, is it going to be packed when I do it?
Do you know the date yet?
I think it's September 9th.
September 9th. If the Phillies are in the wild card race or the division race,
it'll be. I was like, oh man,
it'll be
cool.
crazy because it gets even on a weekday. If it's a nice day in the summer, I mean, you're talking 38, 40,000 people. But that's how we roll now. Philly sports is something else, right? You've learned that.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's so incredible.
Okay, so Inner Excellence, is it like quote unquote back? Because I know it originally released in 2009, and then you revised it in 2020. Is that right? And now it's back being reprinted?
Yeah, so January 12th is when A.J. Brown was televised viewing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I signed with United Talent Agency a week later, and then about 2 weeks later, there was an auction for it because I self-published, and and it became a New York Times #1 bestseller like 2 weeks later, and then the publishers, there was an auction to become the publisher of that book, and so they took Hachette Books took it over, and so that got republished last Tuesday.
So now you're like doing the tour, the whole book tour.
Yeah.
What's that whole whirlwind situation been like? Has it been a whirlwind?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I was scheduled for 17 interviews on Friday. 16 plus the 3-hour
That would
book
qualify,
signing.
I think, as a whirlwind.
Yeah. It was
17 in one day. But I want to know your backstory too before we get into the book, because I haven't read the book, but I've listened to the book. So I've heard your voice in my head now for like how many hours? It's been. I think I've read the book like 1.5 times. And so that's got to be like 14 hours of Jim Murphy in my ears, which is kind of cool because I don't often, I'd rather read like a physical book, but it's been cool to listen to it too. So obviously within that, you talk about your backstory a little bit as a minor league baseball player. How did you get to the minors? Like give us your backstory and the steps to where you are now.
Yeah, I dreamed my whole life about being a superstar, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, since I was little, like most kids.
Sure.
And so 2 years at Bellevue College in Seattle, and then Portland State University, got drafted by the Cubs, and played 3 years for the Cubs, had a vision issue the whole 3 years. It was really, really hard. I just thought pro baseball is just a lot harder. And then finally I saw a vision specialist, and she didn't know what I did. I just told her, I'm having some problem in school. Can you take a look? And then she's like, wow, your eyes are, your ability to track moving objects is not good. And she said, by the way, what kind of work do you do? I was like, oh, I'm a pro baseball player. And she's like, how do you hit the ball? I was like, well, it's been hard. So yeah, that eventually caused me to retire, and so it was devastating. So my identity was completely wrapped up in my role. And, I think this is pretty common in life.
Sure.
We're created for relationship, created for love, and our ego says, hey, if you are successful, you're going to get the love that you want. And so it can easily become your identity. So that's what happened to me. And so I met this life coach in grad school, and he said, let's go for a job in pro baseball right out of grad school, which is by getting to know the people that can hire you. So I sent a snail mail letter to every major league manager and GM and got a job with the Texas Rangers 2 weeks after graduation.
Wow.
So that was dream come true again. I was like, okay, Jim Murphy, pro baseball player, was actually it's supposed to be Jim Murphy, pro baseball coach, my destiny. Okay, let's do that. And then I quit 6 months later in tears. after all that, the
Interesting.
master's degree, everything. And it was just, looking back now, it was a box that I wasn't meant to fit in. And at the time, I just thought I was a failure. And I think this has happened so many times to people in life. They have so many great skills and possibilities, and the one box society has you in, it's not the fit for you, but you think it's supposed to be.
Sure.
And so I think it's really common, and so that was really devastating at the time, because my whole identity again was wrapped up in my role as a pro baseball coach. I felt like, okay, now I'm somebody again, and then I lost it. And then I got asked by Major League Baseball to if I wanted to coach South Africa, be their hitting coach for the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And that was just the most incredible experience. One day I get a call from a teammate in pro baseball, said, Ricky Scruggs, he said, opening a baseball academy in Tucson, Arizona. Do you want to come down and help me for the weekend and for the grand opening? And it was just the time of my life. I was just felt like I was spinning my wheels. I just always felt like I was going to do something to change the world. And initially it wasn't changing the world. It was being a superstar.
Right.
But I always thought there's something that was going to be great for my destiny. And then, so I went there to go live a life of solitude and help them out part-time. That was my plan. I had this, back in the day when you had screensavers on your laptop, my screensaver said, "Those destined for greatness must first walk alone in the desert." And so that's what I went to do.
Sure.
To go, I got rid of gave away over half my possessions, including my TV, and went to live this relatively solitary life. And that's where Inner Excellence was born.
You have spoken with countless pro athletes, Olympic athletes,
Right.
collegiate coaches. Who are some of the names that we might know of those athletes and coaches that you've spoken with that really stood out?
Well, if we look at the major league managers that I interviewed, I mean, it's Sparky Anderson, Davey Johnson, Dusty
amazing.
Baker. There's a lot of superstars. Dave Dombrowski, the GM, and
Yeah. Now at the Phillies.
yeah, it was that was incredible. And then the coaches and athletes and that I interviewed, the mental skills coaches. Yeah, it was an incredible experience.
So you accumulate years of knowledge based on, how to try to find inner excellence as a coach, as an athlete. And then one day, a professional athlete, A.J. Brown, opens up a book on the sidelines. And I've got to guess that in the moment, did you think like, this is going to change my life? Like, how quickly did you realize that might be the case once you saw that happen?
Yeah, it's such a whirlwind. It's hard to remember. I remember that day very, very well because, like I said, life was pretty slow and my mom was dying, and I was kind of wondering why did I get there 2 days early? Because I thought I was going to go see these other clients and it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, God, what am I doing here a couple days early? Now I know, of course, why I was there. God knew something I didn't know, which is, I think it's obviously very common. But that experience, I'm in my hotel room watching Penn State play Notre Dame in the bowl game that I hadn't seen yet, and I look at my phone, I see all these messages, and then I thought my mom died. That's why all the messages. And then I looked at it and someone said, hey, you got to check out that Packers-Eagles game. And there was definitely a sense like, wow, this is going to be big. And then it didn't take long. Like the text messages started flooding in,
Sure.
Of course. And then I think it's called Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
network.
The anchor, yeah, he gets a hold of me and says, "Can we get a book tonight?" This was Sunday night, and we need a book in LA, And I call my friend.
That's hard.
It's pretty funny.
That's
so
hard.
I call my friend, and I don't have a TV, so I don't really watch much, and so I didn't know about that show. And the funny thing is, so I found it, and it was head pastor of a church, 9 p.m. And he said it would be about 90 minutes round trip for me to go drop it off and come back. And I was like, because I didn't want to bother him. And it's like, if it was the Today Show, I'd pay you $1,000 to do it. But and then today's show came calling. So
Sure, eventually.
yeah, pretty crazy.
So AJ Brown has the book. The rest is sort of history. What's it been like getting to know, though, AJ and being around the Eagles organization over these last few months now?
Yeah, amazing. AJ, super humble, gentle. Yeah, really, really nice guy. I'll tell you a funny story. So that first week they win the wild card game, and then they're playing the Rams, and I go to that game, the snow game.
Snow game, yeah.
And I remember when I got to Philadelphia, it was AJ Brown's foundation manager helped me for the first week, and I land in Philadelphia. I'm in my car, the rental car, just getting in the rental car, and I've got an interview. I said, I've got an interview in like 6 minutes with Major League Baseball, Sirius XM. Should I just sit in my car and do it? She's like, no, you got to get to the Eagles facility. So I'm like, do it while you're driving. I was like, okay, I'll do it while I was driving. And then I'm driving there and I'm pulling up, and then so I'm talking to them, and then I talk to the guard, and then the guy's like, wait, are you pulling into the Eagles facility as we speak? I was like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, Jim Murphy's pulling into the facility right now. And I was like, oh, I guess they think this is cool. So I said, well, hey, I think his name was Scott, it's the guard. I said, hey, Scott, we're live on Sirius XM. You want to say hello? And so Scott got to say
That's
hello.
amazing. You're at the snow game. That turns into the NFC Championship game. They go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. The whole thing is a whirlwind. Did you feel like you were sort of along the ride with AJ and the team?
Oh yeah. So AJ got the book from Moro Ajomo.
Yep.
And so Moro and I talked quite a bit.
Okay.
And so yeah, I've definitely a huge connection, especially with the fans and everything. The team, the team made that amazing Inter Excellence promo video the week of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely felt like I was a part of it, which was, such a cool thing to feel like that.
As someone who aspired to be a professional athlete, I'm sure that maybe give it a little extra meaning, knowing that you're like part of that.
Yeah. It's always been a dream since I was little to play in the Super Bowl and be in the NFL. And so to have a tiny little role and feel like some connection was really, really cool.
What was it like the first time you met AJ and got a chance to speak to him at length?
Oh, it was great. And so ESPN was setting it up so that they wanted, it was really funny because the producer said, because he was getting interviewed before me and I hadn't met him yet at the Eagles practice facility.
Yeah.
And so he's reading quotes from the book, and then they were going to watch film, both of us meeting for the first time. And so the producer is like, Jim, where are you? And I kind of snuck into the studio so I could hear what he was saying. I was interested. And I said, oh, I'm just hiding in the back of the studio. And she's like, get out of there. You can't be in there, because she didn't want me to hear anything. She said she wanted to be totally organic.
Sure.
Didn't want me to hear anything he was saying. They were really orchestrating it well. And so I left and then came back in, and then we had a good chat. And
that's very cool. Yeah. So what was parade day like for you?
Oh my gosh. The most amazing thing was, well, the anchors were awesome, Matt and Tam. But they start to interview me, and then the fans are chanting my name. And so, yeah, I mean, the fans are so incredible here.
It's unlike anywhere else. I mean, having grown up here, you maybe take it for granted a little bit because of how passionate we are. But when we got to parade day, and I actually walked with the team the entire length of the parade route with the buses and interviewed some of the players as we were walking, and I don't know that I'll ever experience that sort of energy ever again. I mean, it's thousands of people for blocks and blocks and miles, and I'm sure other cities do it well, but I don't know that any other city can do it like Philly does it. And I'm sure you got to feel that, the passion. Yeah. That's unbelievable. So you go on this ride, this journey, and now it kind of comes full circle. You're on the tour for this book. So tell the people where they can get the book. Where can we find it?
Yeah, so up until Tuesday, April 29th, it was only available on Amazon.
Yeah.
So now it's in most bookstores around the world that sell English language books.
Sure.
So
it should be easy to find. What sort of numbers are we talking about? Like how many books sold after AJ opened up that book on the sidelines? You have numbers? Like, is it crazy?
The difference between January 11th and January 12th that week was quite big. I mean, it's only selling a couple books a day. And then it sold like 100,000 in a week or so.
You just see the number keep going. You're like, this is incredible. This is
it was very surreal. Like I mentioned, I had some anxiety twice. Like day 3, and that day 3, because there's so much happening. It kind of felt like I could empathize with somebody who wins the lottery, or it just has something like this. Some crazy thing happens so fast. Like it can be so overwhelming, even if it's amazing. And so at first there was a moment where I was starting to get a little overwhelmed. And then I just felt God saying, Jim, you didn't do this. You don't need to say the right thing or, keep everything going. I'm the one that did it. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was really, took the load off my shoulders.
I carry around a gallon can, and it's got random questions in it. It's like a way to get to know you a little bit better, a little bit deeper maybe, with some of these questions. Would you like to dig in and see what we pull out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Jim Murphy, Gallon of Questions. Let's see what we come up with here.
Best dessert.
Best dessert.
Oh, man.
What's your go-to?
Well, I probably eat too much dessert, especially in the last 3 months. I've had a lot of cheesecake, although that's not typically been my my number one. I would say generally my number one would be ice cream, chocolate ice cream with chocolate gluten-free brownie with chocolate syrup and nuts, whipped cream. That would probably be
good. But a lot of cheesecake recently is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
All right. Best meal you've had in Philly. Do you remember an excellent meal
There's
you've had?
been some good ones, yes.
So we got some good cuisine here. What do you think?
I've had great sushi. Had some tonight at Zuma.
Okay, yeah.
And then just before I came here.
Nice.
That was really good. There's another one, although I don't remember the name. Sorry.
Sushi place?
Yeah.
We do have good sushi places here. Here, grab one more. We'll see how many we can get to in the next minute or two. Sushi's underrated in Philly, though.
Most memorable thing a pro athlete has said to you. Oh, man, I don't even know if I want to say this one. It's the first thing that came to mind. When I was little, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was sitting in the airport, and I asked for an autograph, and he said no.
That's pretty memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's...
that's the most memorable. How about for, like, the book? Has anyone said anything that was like...
Oh, my gosh,
this is...
what a gift. Like, so the book's been out for, like, 15 years.
Yeah.
The new version for almost 5, but I would get emails... I don't know, once a week or a couple times a month from people saying this book changed my life or, it's amazing. Now it's almost every day. Wow. And so
That's pretty cool.
It's just very surreal to like people in the hospital. I'm listening to it every single day. And yeah, it's just, that part's really surreal.
That's really awesome. Yeah. Coffee, tea, or other?
Oh, yeah. I love coffee.
Yeah.
I'm really a big coffee lover.
How many cups a day are we talking here?
Two is the max.
Okay,
I try and kind of, but I'm very like every day I'm looking forward to it. And 2 p.m. or so is my cutoff.
Yeah,
and then
same here.
So every day I'm like, it's kind of like this battle to not get to 2 because if it's 2 o'clock I haven't had it, I'm like, oh, you lost it for today.
Yeah, and it would keep me up at night. It's better than Kevin Willard, who's the new head coach at Villanova. He told me he drinks like 15 cups a day. I don't know how people do that.
Wow.
What's Jim Murphy's hidden talent? Do you have one?
I don't know. When I was in the desert, I had a little extra time on my hands, so I taught myself how to write opposite-handed. And so now What's
great.
interesting is now when I write vertically, like on a whiteboard or a chalkboard,
Yeah.
because I write, I was right-handed. I just got this question randomly from someone on Instagram, because I saw me writing lefty in my book signing.
Yeah.
Were you left-handed player? I said no. I threw right and batted right. And when I was 19, a scout asked me to try switch hitting, but it was a little bit late. It didn't work out.
Sure.
But when I was in the desert, I taught myself how to write right-handed, and so now whenever I write vertically, I always write righty.
That's pretty awesome. I'm a lefty too. Nice. When's the last time you picked up a bat?
Oh, good question. Oh yeah, so my friends Carson and Adam and Austin, we like to hit softballs, and so we did that a year ago. I'd say we're about due.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Softballs on a softball field,
Heck
and the fence was just far enough so if you connected solid, you could hit it out, but you'd have to hit solid.
Sure.
So that was a lot
Makes
of
you feel good when you hit one over that fence, right?
Yeah.
All right, last one. Favorite athlete growing up? Not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, Ken Griffey Jr. was from Seattle. We're actually one of my teammates played with him, similar age. And I still think he's amazing. I got to chat with him one day, and yeah.
That's really cool.
Superstar.
He's one of my favorite players growing up, too.
And definitely one of the best swings of all time.
Lefty swing. That was a beautiful lefty swing that everyone tried to emulate, for sure. Jim, thank you so much for coming in. And I said this earlier, like listening to the voice and now getting to see it in person is really cool. And there's one quote that has stuck out to me because in this business, as I guess you're learning now, in doing 17 interviews in one day, is that what I try to do is ruthlessly eliminate hurry. And it's difficult to do, but I'm trying my best. So I appreciate you coming in. Thanks so much for sharing your story.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
You got it.